It was a dark night. A long-haired man with a flashlight on his head tried to drag his wife's body. He struggled to drag in this wild mountain region. Half an hour later, the man finally found a suitable land. After digging a hole, he dragged the body inside. Everything's done. He finally breathed a sigh of relief, lit a cigarette, and prepared to rest for a while. Who would have thought that at this moment an insect crawled through his wife's arm? Her eyes immediately widened. He was scared shitless. He thought he was dizzy. Maybe his wife wasn't dead yet. Thinking of this, he quickly jumped into the pit, picked up a hoe and beat his wife. He beat her to no longer breathe. He breathed a sigh of relief. He packed his things and went home. He skillfully entered the door, sat on the sofa as if relieved of a burden. He lit another cigarette and turned on the TV to watch. When his wife was at home, he didn't watch cartoons. After watching cartoons for a while, he was thirsty, turned to go to the front of the refrigerator, picked up a milk carton and drink. Suddenly, he saw his wife, who was supposed to be dead, sitting on the sofa in the living room. He vomited all the milk he had just drank. Shaking his hand to reach the milk carton, he was not sure to drop it on the ground. Obviously, his wife's body was already in the grave. Moreover, she went home unharmed. Fortunately, his psychological quality is quite stable. Facing this image, he mustered the courage to go to the sofa and sit across from his wife. He thinks she will avenge him. However, his wife never mentioned that he buried her. She got up and walked over to the fridge. He hesitantly stepped back. As a result, his wife's target was not him, but the kitchen that had been separated for many days. An hour later, the wife, who had not been in the kitchen for many years, took all the food from the refrigerator to make a table. A hearty food table, filled with delicious food, was laid out in front of him. At this time, the wife picked up a piece of beef and brought it in front of her husband. He had just buried his wife and was also starving. Seeing the food laid out in front of him, he picked up his fork to eat. They ate the meal for 2 hours. He seemed to have a super big stomach, eating all the dishes in front of him. Finally, he poured a cup of coffee too, and prepared to talk. Unexpectedly, the wife suddenly stretched out her hand, pulled the coffee cup in front of her, and poured 7 teaspoons of sugar into the coffee cup. Nor did he refuse, drinking the sweet coffee in one gulp. The wife saw her husband eat all the food she cooked. Finally, a satisfied smile appeared. He also thought that his wife had forgiven him, so he took out a cigarette and smoked it. While bowing his head to light a cigarette, his wife jumped on the table and knocked him over. Unprepared, he flew 7.8 meters. His head was hazy, his mouth bleeding. Then this wife seemed to wake up. This man just killed his wife and buried the body. When he returned home, he found his wife alive again. His wife turned into an athlete, jumped for a kick. He passed out. Fortunately, he is not normally weak, reacting at the time, rolling to the side. Hear the crack of the ground. The thick floor was broken by his wife. When he heard it, he lost his mind. How dare he stand still? Immediately run out. Seeing him want to run, the wife picked up a set of cutlery, rushed towards him. Cutlery stuck in the door frame. He risked his life to escape, but the wife's skill has now increased. Picking up a 100-pound man was like lifting a chicken. She casually threw him out 7, 8 m. His wife grabbed him by the neck and threw him over and over. Finally found a chance to run up to the second floor. He panicked and didn't know what to do. Quickly ran into his room and locked the door. Not long after, the wife also came to the front door of the bedroom. She began to frantically knock on the door. It wasn't long before the sturdy wooden door was smashed open. Looking at this, he definitely won't be able to escape. He suddenly had the courage to pull out the hand of the clock on the wall. When the wife was not paying attention, sneak attack caused her to lose her life. Then he dragged his wife's body into the car. He began to plan a hidden burial. He went to the jungle to dig a hole. He already knew the road this time. This time it only took half an hour to get home. When he went to the refrigerator to get milk, he suddenly heard the sound of running water in the toilet that the bathtub faucet forgot to turn off. At this point, the tank overflowed. He hurried up to turn off the faucet. There was a familiar hand sticking out of the bathtub, grabbing his head and submerging it in the water. The bathtub is inherently extremely shallow. Now it seems that the bottom is invisible. He was submerged in the water by his wife, desperately struggling, crawling out of the bathtub. This time, he scared the living crap out of him. He didn't want to stay at home anymore. He hurriedly ran to the back of the house to get in the car and run away. Seeing that there was a home but cannot return, he was determined to go to the assassin's house in the urban area. He took all his accumulated money to buy his wife's life. After getting evidence, the assassin organization will take action in the afternoon. He returned home with peace of mind. As a result, this unlucky man in the middle of the road was stopped by the police. There were bloodstains all over his car, and there were fresh marks on his face. If he was checked by the police, he would definitely be exposed. At this point, he had an idea. He explained to the police yesterday that it was March 8th. It was appropriate for him to take the initiative to give his wife a match. That's right. Look how he treats his wife. The policeman laughed loudly, immediately waved his hand to let him go. He wandered around all night outside before coming home. The extremely reputable assassin organization has completed its mission. At this time, the wife was dead on the sofa. He dragged his wife back to the forest to bury. After smoking a cigarette, he came home tired. He lay alone on the large bed, then fell asleep. He dreamed a very strange dream that he was being chased by a group of soldiers. Indeed, he couldn't run until he found a phone in front of him. He suddenly called his wife for help. He immediately woke up from the dream. Only then did he find his wife resurrected once again on the ceiling. She was killed over and over again. She fell from above and beat her husband. Reluctantly, he only risked his life to counterattack. When his wife did not pay attention to use a bottle of wine to hit her, he killed his wife's burial many times. When he got home, his wife was perfect. He is worried that his wife will come back to life. He found tools, cut her body into 8 pieces, then dragged her into the forest to bury her. Unexpectedly, the wife was dismembered. Not only resurrected, but also learned how to shoot bullets. Her arms can be freely detached. Shoots out like rockets. He really had no way, could only burn the body with gasoline. However, his wife being burned, was soon revived. He saw that he couldn't kill his wife no matter what. He took a deep breath, was about to smoke, when his wife spit out a flame that directly lit the cigarette. He looked at the cigarette in his hand. A strange thought came to his mind. It seemed like how he treated his wife. After he came back to life, his wife would treat him like that. So this time burying her, he purposely showed his wife how he prepared a wonderful Christmas. Sure enough, after returning home, his house decorated with candles and Christmas decorations everywhere. In the living room there is also a large Christmas tree. Only a bang can be heard. The Christmas tree exploded in front of him. The well-dressed wife crawled out of the sock. The two of them smiled at each other. So forget the hatred of living together. Let's eat a peaceful Christmas. Couples who live together do not stay angry with each other for long. This silly couple. Since then, they lived the sweet and happy days. Unexpectedly, the unlucky assassin organization doing an activity at Christmas. When he went to the house to ask the 2 assassins, he saw his wife. The assassin immediately expressed that the work must be done. He stopped 2 assassins outside the door. Then he came to see his wife has been stabbed into a hedgehog by an assassin. At this time, the 2 assassins took souvenir photos and left. The wife fell in love with her husband. Before leaving, he smiled and said bye. He immediately lifted his wife up, carefully buried in the forest. But when he returned home, he discovered that his wife was no longer alive. Looks like she's really dead this time. Suddenly, he fell into a sad mood. He went into the forest alone, sitting by his wife's grave one evening. It was morning when he got up to leave. Not long after, he appeared in the office of the assassin organization, burning his wife's picture in front of the assassins. At last he suffered, jumping down from their workplace. When everyone felt that he was about to die, a middle-aged man in a suit suddenly flew up to pick him up. Just like that, send him to the sky. Who is this man? Everyone, please watch the movie. You will understand. The Reverse of Marriage is a Japanese fiction film in 2005. The film is a fantasy, romance. The director uses different techniques to show viewers 5 different stages of human life. Finally, this part of killing his wife is the most special. In life, most husband and wife love each other very much. The fragments of life gradually become life memories, leaving only killing and hurting each other. Until one day he gave up. Just realized it's too late. Today's movie ends here. See you next week.